When wars end, militaries often need to evolve to fit the new status quo. New technology develops to meet those needs, but in many cases, these new models fail to match up to their predecessors. Today, we'll be looking at one such case. In today's video, we'll be comparing the Republic's Clone Wars era fighter tank, the TX-130, to the Empire's post-war TX-225 combat assault tank to figure out, once and for all, which of the two was the superior tank model.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
Rathana Heavy Engineering manufactured the TX-130 for the Republic for use in the Clone Wars. Measuring 8.2 meters, or about 27 feet in length, and 3.05 meters, or 10 feet wide, this light repulsor tank was used by clone troopers and Jedi alike. Built for speed, it hit speeds of up to 320 kilometers per hour, which is about as fast as a modern bullet train. With its speed and light armor, the TX-130 was designed for lightning-quick attacks and agile maneuvers. Rathana struck a perfect balance between the weight of its armor and its firepower, allowing it to fly swiftly into battle, deal devastating damage to enemy fortifications or vehicles, then disengage and live to fight another day. The reason it was so nimble was because that it was inspired by starfighter designs. Many Jedi piloted these tanks with resounding success during the Clone Wars. Thanks to their precognitive force abilities, they were able to make the most of the TX-130's agility. Its popularity among Jedi is what earned it the nickname Jedi Starfighter of the Ground. The TX-130 took on enemy vehicles and fortifications with heavy shells, while its lighter armament provided infantry support. The tank's primary weapons were two heavy laser cannons. These were forward-facing and fixed in place. Despite the limited field of fire this created, the TX-130's maneuverability meant that it could be quickly repositioned to bring targets into the cannon's line of sight. The main turret also had powerful zoom optics, which allowed the tank to take out enemy vehicles from afar. Depending on the model, the repulsor tank was equipped with either a twin medium laser turret or a beam cannon turret located on top of the tank, although some had no turret at all. Moreover, the tank also featured two rapid-fire launchers that could launch between 16 and 20 thermal detonators or concussion missiles, although some units chose to carry 100 rockets instead. Other ordnance the tank could fire included armor-piercing, bunker-buster, or high-energy shells. Regarding its defenses, the TX-130 was lightly armored, enough to give it some survivability without weighing it down too much. A blade of armor protected the tank from light anti-vehicle ordnance by dispersing energy attacks across the hull. 3 quick cycling shield projectors rounded off the tank's defenses. The tank's Achilles heel, however, was the rear door. A hit there from heavy ordnance could completely disable the tank. As for the crew, the TX-130 had enough room for a pilot and a navigator in the front and 2 passengers in the back. In models with a top-mounted turret, a gunner was positioned in the open cockpit. Finally, some models were equipped with an astromech droid. The tank could carry up to 650 kilograms of cargo and enough food, water, and medicine to last the crew a day. All in all, the TX-130 was a solid fighter tank that served the Republic well during the Clone Wars. After the rise of the Empire, however, it was slowly phased out to make room for its successor, the TX-225 Occupier, which we'll be talking about next. After Order 66, the newly established Empire's military needs gradually shifted from prevailing in an open battlefield to retaining territory and establishing order. Thus, Rathana Heavy Engineering, the company that manufactured the TX-130 fighter tank, designed a new type of assault tank, the TX-225 Occupier. This new line of assault tanks became commonplace in Imperial mechanized infantry divisions. The TX-225 had 2 primary models, the GAV-W and the GAV-R. Today, we'll be focusing on the former, as the GAV-R shared most of the GAV-W's basic features but lacked many of its offensive or defensive alternatives. Between the two of them, the GAV-W was the superior tank. Additionally, unlike the GAV-R, which was fitted with repulsor lifts, it also featured actual tank tracks, which was more in line with the Occupier's core model design. Thus, to be as fair as possible, we'll be comparing the TX-130 to the TX-225 GAV-W, as it was objectively the best version of the 2 Occupiers and the one that saw the most widespread use. This Occupier model, also known as the TX-225 GAV-W Combat Assault Tank, was a track-propelled ground assault vehicle. It measured 7.3 meters, or 24 feet in length, and 1.82 meters, or 6 feet in height. On the road, it could reach speeds of up to 72 kilometers per hour, and off-road, it reached a max of 45. Thanks to its continuous track propulsion system, the GAV-W performed very well in tight spaces, such as city streets. For this reason, it served as the Empire's primary urban combat vehicle, deployed in occupied urban sectors to patrol the streets and maintain order when civil unrest brewed. Additionally, it could transport troops or cargo around the city and provide infantry support with its lighter ordnance. However, while efficient, the tank's propulsion system required extensive maintenance. For such a small and agile vehicle, the Occupier was surprisingly heavily armed. Its primary weapons were 3 twin laser cannons. 2 of these were mobile, while the third was forward-facing and fixed in place. In addition, the tank had 2 forward-facing light blaster cannons mounted on its reinforced bow. A light repeating blaster could also be mounted on the tank to provide anti-vehicle and anti-infantry cover in tight quarters. Moreover, the TX-225 certainly wasn't lacking in defense. Depleted duranium made up its outer composite armor, which gave it survivability without adding too much weight. Composite armor was chosen because air friction undercut shield generators, weakening them. Its second layer of defense was a composite armor lattice composed of quadanium-enriched titanium and ceramic plates that, when fused together, increased the hull's durability. To round its defenses off, close-range sensor systems served it well in tight quarters. Finally, the Occupier had just enough space in its wedge-shaped main compartment for 3 crew members, a commander, a gunner, and a driver. Along with the crew, it could also ferry huge loads of cargo, which often included containers of kyber crystals. Overall, the TX-225 was an excellent combat assault tank and was deployed all across the Empire. But was it really an improvement on the TX-130? First and foremost, a direct comparison between the 2 tank models isn't particularly helpful. The TX-130 and TX-225 were very different in design, even stark opposites one might say, and had different purposes. The TX-130 was designed to be extremely fast and agile in an era of open, sprawling battlefields, while the TX-225 was designed for cramped urban warfare. In their respective field, each contender would outperform the other. Therefore, we're going to need to look at other criteria to determine the winner. If we compare their armament, we would say that TX-130 had the slightest edge over the TX-225. The Imperial tank may have had 1 additional primary laser weapon and a light repeating blaster, but the Republic tank carried significant heavy ordnance such as concussion missiles, thermal detonators, and rockets. In terms of pure firepower and damage output, we have to give this point to the Republic's TX-130. When it came to defense, however, the TX-225 came out on top. With its composite duranium armor and quadanium-enriched titanium armor lattice, it was clearly more durable than the TX-130 and its light armor. Additionally, when considering that the Republic vehicle had a weak spot in the rear, while the Imperial's tank defenses were well-rounded, it's even more clear that the TX-225 was tougher. However, simply comparing the tank's offensive and defensive capabilities isn't enough to decide on a winner. That's why we have one final criterion to consider: versatility and adaptability. As established earlier, the TX-225 was an excellent ground vehicle for urban warfare. However, due to its slow speed and emphasis on close quarters street combat, its use was limited to within cities. Additionally, the vehicle was further limited to streets that could support its width, surfaces that could support its weight, and terrain that wouldn't interfere with the continuous track propulsion assembly. Together, this meant that the Occupier was a specialized vehicle designed exclusively for city patrolling. On the other hand, the Republic's TX-130 was incredibly versatile. Due to its repulsor lift technology, it could manage any surface. During the Clone Wars, it was effective in a huge variety of terrains, such as Geonosis' Messas, Raxus Prime's Junkscape, Renvar's Glaciers, and Seleucumai's deserts. A final point in the TX-130's favor was that, even after it was officially phased out of production, units continued to be manufactured in secret and sold to the Rebel Alliance. The Rebels chose the old Clone Wars era tank due to its speed and versatility, traits which were far more useful to them than the Occupier's superiority in urban warfare. For all the reasons above, we believe that the TX-130 fighter tank was by far the superior vehicle. The TX-225 was an excellent tank, but it simply couldn't live up to its predecessor's legacy. But what do you think? If you had one tank to take on an angry group of Wampers, which tank would you pick? Let us know all that and more in the comments section below, and as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.